Most cinematic portraits aren't made in the camera. They're actually made in the edit. I'm going to take a portrait that was shot in ordinary daylight with a single hard flash and transform it into something that looks like it came straight from a movie scene. Along the way, I'll show you how we can create that lovely warm cinematic color palette, add rugged detail, and as a final touch, I'll show you a way that we can work with film grain in our photos that most photographers overlook. All right, let's get into it. The photo we'll be working on today was just from a little test photo shoot I was doing. We've got our rugged, handsome model here, and we just have a single hard off-camera flash right there. So this is going to be great for showing a really good transformation. So the first thing I'm going to do with this one is just control the highlights. You can see that on his cheek here, where we're getting a bit of a reflection from the flash, that's a little bit too much. So we're going to just drop the highlights. And the first big step in achieving this kind of look is to work with the color temperature. If we warm up the temperature and also move the tint into a nice sort of magenta look here, we've moved the whole color reference of the photo away from that blue and natural look more towards an orange. But obviously this is too much, too saturated. And so we can just sort of balance this out by grabbing the saturation slider by making this more of a subtle application of this look. Let's keep a little bit of color in, something like that. Now, as you would have seen from the behind the scenes photo, he's actually stood against some panes of glass. That's what's given us this reflection here, but we've also got some other artifacts showing through the window as well. So I want to take care of those, and probably the easiest way is with the old school clone tool. So I'll open that and I'm going to sample from a point here, make a nice big brush, a soft edged brush, and I'm basically borrowing pixels from where I first click with the tool. So I hold Alt and click right there. And now I'm basically stealing those pixels and repainting them elsewhere. So as a demonstration of that, let's say if I click Alt over his eye here, I am basically going to take those pixels and paint them elsewhere. And that's the method we're using when we're retouching photos like this. So we basically borrow some pixels that we want to paint over, and we're looking for areas that match. So in this section here, we're pretty good because we're borrowing the same tones and bringing them down. But if I keep painting that, obviously that isn't going to work because we need to borrow matching pixels for his hat. So that's where we come in and just select a point up here, come down, match the angle of the hat, and then start drawing that across. And then we can do the same at the other side. So we're matching the angle there. That's not perfect, but it's going to be close enough. And we can do the same over on this side as well. Currently, we have an awful lot of negative space over on the right-hand side, so I am going to just bring my crop in slightly. If we wanted to, we could make this more of a filmic kind of crop, something like that. And I can always go back to that later if I want. But for now, why don't we go for a 16:9. Now, I want to give our subject a rugged, manly look, and I think he can pull that off. So I'm going to go for the structure tool and start boosting that up. Now, one thing to bear in mind with the structure tool in Luminar Neo, it's actually designed intelligently so that it will amplify structure in areas in your photo that are not skin. So we can see on his face here, it's having a minimal amount of structure actually applied to his face. Whereas if we look at his shirt, that's getting a lot more detail added to it. So if we do want to put more structure into our subject himself, we're going to need to find another way to do it. But for now, I am going to put a little bit of this into our model here. So I want to use masking. I'm going to come to Mask AI. And once that's analyzed my photo, we should have human as an option. And there we go. We've got him selected and a bit of his reflection as well. And that's good enough for this one. And so another way to add structure or detail into our photo is with the details tool right here. So one way to think about this tool is it's basically a form of sharpening done with an increasing pixel radius. So sharpening is very tight. You know, it's just comparing the edge of adjacent pixels. But if we were to go to the large details and start increasing those, it's following the same algorithm. It's just comparing more adjacent pixels. And what I recommend doing is just playing around with each of these sliders and seeing exactly what that does for your photo. Any one of these sliders used to the maximum is just too much. So I always err on the side of just a minimal adjustment with these. Also with the sharpening, we've taken that too far as well, but somewhere around 60 would be all right for this one. We want that rugged look. So before and after, yeah, I'm happy with that. Now we've already moved the color balance of this photo, but I believe we can do better. We're going to do another pass of the develop tool. And this time we're going to work on color and contrast. So look at the contrast slider here. As you know, when we add contrast, we do add a bit of saturation back into those colors as well. So we're going to just sort of lean into this. We're going to go for a more contrasty look, and we're going to come back down to the temperature sliders again. Bring that up with a bit more subtlety, because if I take that all the way, things get very yellow. We're basically doubling down on that effect that we created before. And just like last time, we're just going to control that saturation. So we don't want to have full intensity of that. We want to make it nice and subtle. Maybe something like that. Now, before we get to my favorite contrast tip, I just want to show you how we can use curves to create a more cinematic look as well. Usually, when we're dealing with film, they often don't have a pure black point in a film. Usually it will be just a slight lift on the blacks, so it's still very dark, but it's not quite pure black. And we can achieve that same thing by grabbing the bottom left corner of a curve and just lifting that up. You can see as it gets lifted up, what was a black pixel is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And so just doing a subtle lift on that just brings those blacks up. However, the issue we've got, as we do that, we start to lose contrast. So what I like to do is counteract that by putting another point on the curve, slightly below the midpoints. The middle of the curve controls how bright those midpoints are. Just a slightly darker one, so we're looking at the shadows here, and just bring those down. Like, look at that beautiful contrast we start to get as we drop this down. If we want to keep a bit of punch in the highlights, we can also put another point slightly higher up. The higher we go on this 45-degree line, the more we're controlling the highlights in the photo. I don't want to bleach anything out. We want to keep this nice and controlled, but just a subtle lift, something like that, can look really nice. So let's look at the before and after. So even though we've lifted that black point, we actually have more contrast in our photo, before and after. A lot of the tips I'm sharing in this video are cross-transferable regardless of what photo editor you're using. However, the next thing, the little contrast trick, is unique to Luminar Neo. If you want to get hold of it for your photo editing, I've got a discount link in the description below that you're welcome to. Okay, let's press on. Let me show you this contrast look. So if we go to the dramatic tool and we grab the amount slider and start bringing that up, now bear with me, because straight out of the box, this isn't going to look great, but you get the idea. Before and after, it adds a lot more punch and, as the tool implies, more drama to our photo. But I think there's a better way to set up these sliders, particularly this local contrast slider, because when that is higher, things look pretty fake in my opinion. We get far too many halos going on. But if we take this the opposite way and we look at the before and after, we get a lovely amount of contrast without the halos. So in a situation like this, we could kind of split the difference and just start to put a little bit of that local contrast in. So we're getting a nice punchy local contrast without any halos. So basically, as soon as you start to see halos, you've gone too far. So just sort of bring that in, you know, somewhere around there. 29 is fine for this one, before and after. And because I don't want to be bringing the brightness level of this up too far either, I'm going to just reset that to 0. So we're not getting any brightening. We're just getting all of the contrast and punch before and after, before and after. I want to keep my nice bit of color in there. So I'm just going to reset the saturation from the default of -25 back up to 0. Before and after, it's too heavy-handed as it is. We don't want all of this effect, but I'm just showing you a little of this can go a long way. So if we just ease this in somewhere around 30 for this one, before, oh, I've closed that down. Sometimes that happens. You go to click on something and instead you click on the actual tool name. When that happens, it just means that the tool's been closed down, but you can still access it. It's just in this edit section here. So before and after, okay. Currently, I feel our look is still just a little too saturated. So I'm going to come into the saturation within this tool and just drop that all the way down to -100. Now, of course, we're not completely desaturating the photo because we only have an amount of 30 of this tool. If this was at 100, then we'd be looking at a black and white photo. And as you can see, this tool does a fantastic job at creating really dramatic black and whites, but that's not what we're doing in this one. So I'm just going to reset that around 30. And before I show you the best way to be dealing with film grain, let's just do one more thing, which is going to help draw attention, and that is to add a vignette. So I'm just going to sort of bring that down bring the size down slightly, and I'm going to feather the amount. I always like to feather my vignette just so that it's nice and a soft transition. You know, if you go the other way, everything's very abrupt. And while we can clearly see the vignette, let's actually choose our subject. So we want to make sure that he and his reflection are the main focal points. And that's a lovely thing that we can do in Luminar Neo, is just actually select where we want that vignette to appear. So let's go for something like that. And now let's increase the feather. If you ever want to brighten the center of the vignette, you can do that. But obviously we've worked hard to get the exposure where we want it. I may want to just change the roundness slightly because it was quite elongated before. Let's make it more of a kind of round shape and toggle the before and after. That really brings our attention onto our character here. So as a final step, because we are talking about emulating a cinematic film look, and I believe I shot this around ISO 100, there's hardly any grain or digital noise in this file. I'm going to reintroduce it, but I'm going to show you the best way to do that. First of all, if I grab the amount and start putting this up, it looks pretty awful straight out of the box. And that is because Luminar Neo is actually doing a rendering shortcut to actually display the effect of the noise. And when you export your photo, it's going to be a much cleaner, better image. But this gives you a really nice proxy just to set it up how you want. You know, you can see by increasing the size of the grain, it actually takes away some of that sharpness. So bear that in mind. And the roughness is just sort of how intense or how amplified you want that noise. So I'm going to put that, I don't know, somewhere around there. And we can play with the amount slider. We can put a lot of that in, none, or we can just sort of back and forth until we find that sweet spot. I think my final setting is going to be around halfway. But for now, what I'm going to do is push it all the way because it's going to be much clearer to see what I wanted to show you about the right way to use this. So normally, film grain and digital noise is going to be more evident in the shadows of a photo. And currently, it is applied evenly across the whole photo, regardless of how bright or dark the pixels are. It's interacting evenly. So a really nice and quick way to actually correct for that and get it to look more authentic is to come into the masking section, and we're going to apply a luminosity mask. It's going to be really quick, really simple. Basically, when it's analyzed the photo, all we're going to do is just click on the darker part of the image, and straight away you can see that we've selected predominantly the shadows, and then we have this line which allows us to taper the effect from dark all the way to light. So if we push this line all the way up, we are still going to get some of the effect of the digital noise in those very brightest highlights, or if we bring it down, any highlights that fall above this line, so you can see now that his face is not affected, the skin that's in the highlights on his face is not going to receive any film grain whatsoever. So I do still want a little bit of the film grain, so I'm just going to bring that up and we can just sort of have that fade off from shadows into the highlights. And now when I come back, hopefully you can appreciate that we can see all of that film grain in the shadows, in his hat, and there's much less of it on his skin and on the brighter parts of his shirt. And so now I'm just going to bring that amount back down to where I thought looked more appropriate. Let's go for about 40 in this one. And that is our final cinematic edit. We've taken the photo from this, a natural daylight portrait, and given it a more cinematic and filmic look. This cinematic edit is very close to being a black and white photo, but if you're actually interested in getting the most out of your black and white conversions and doing that the right way, I've got a video right there that you might want to check out where I walk through all the steps involved in really pulling the most information out of your black and white conversions. All right, I'll see you in that one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.